Okay, everybody out there in YouTube land, we're getting stocked up again. Been a bit of a weird winter. Last year was weird, and this year's even weirder. So, had snow about 3 or 4 days up in Apache County, Arizona, and not enough to hinder progress. So, instead of sipping coffee in my PJs, we're out getting some inventory for the folks up here with their off-grid properties and their storage needs and whatnot. So if you guys need a storage container, we're trying to bring them up, a couple times a week right now. 20-foot cargo worthies or wind and watertight, where we can get our hands on are in decent shape. If the wind and watertights are shitty down at the ports and the depots, we'll go with the cargo worthies, which is the next step up. For those of you that don't know about storage container conditions and how to compare them, an as-is container is going to maybe have some holes or damage or major repairs, but it should be wind and watertight by the time you get it up here typically, but a lot of times as-is may have problems. The next level up would be a wind and watertight, which should have wind and watertight seals on it. If it has patches on it, should have been done professionally to where they don't leak. Something like this, where you can see there's a patch right here, has been done by a port, because you can tell it's done by the same metal that's on these containers. It's not done by a different type of metal, and it's not bent into place. It's a piece they cut off of a different container to make that work. So that would be a professional patch on there, and typically we don't have any problems with those, and you will find those on wind and watertights and cargo worthies. So they'll still deem them cargo worthy, which means they can still be shipped across the ocean. These are from a European container company from back in the day. These are about 20 years old. So typical wind and watertight is going to be between 15 to 24 years old. Same with the cargo worthy. A cargo worthy is just a wind and watertight that still has certification to go across the ocean. They're going to have dents and bruises and bumps. That's going to be normal. Nothing too outlandish. If you paint this thing, you can make them look pretty. I mean, you're going to see all the patina and things like that. I mean, all the bumps and bruises, but people paint them all the time. We don't paint them unless there's a request from a customer. We're not trying to hide anything. We try to make it very obvious this is the condition of container you're getting, and we're not trying to put lipstick on a pig. So granted, people do paint these, and I have painted a couple over the last 4 years of us doing business that people have requested, and they come out great. They look nice. I mean, they do have bumps and ripples. That's going to show through on a paint job, but it will make it a little more consistent. Plus, some people don't like bright yellow or bright green or bright red, or I've seen purple ones and blue ones. Some people really want a, or orange especially. I always get people that say, I can't pick the color for wind and watertight or cargo worthy. And say, well, just don't get me an orange one, and I'll bring an orange one up. So not on purpose, it just happens that way. So I like the green ones a lot. The Evergreen company makes some really cool ones. And these are a nicer 2-trip version of Evergreen, so they're even nicer and cleaner inside. I also like the new 1-trips. 1-trip containers, whether it be 20 or 40, they typically come in like a tan, a more muted color than that. That's more of a yellow hue to it. They come in more of a tan that really blends in well. Almost looks like the bricks you can see in the background back there. So a real easy, neutral color for people that live off grid. Anyway, so cargo worthy containers, 20-footers, 20-footers. When people hit us up on Facebook or on Instagram or on YouTube, and they say, well, how much? Well, there's no dedicated price. If you see a price in the background of any of these, that's going to be for local delivery. So maybe within 40 miles of Concho Lake area, based out of Apache County. Anything beyond that, I got to figure out where you're going to get it delivered to, and that will constitute a final price. There's no hidden fees or nothing like that. We're not trying to be tricky. We're just telling you that it's not one price fits all. So when someone from Wisconsin sees my video and says, well, how much to my doorstep? Clearly, I'm not going to bring one to Wisconsin. I'm going to try and get them in touch with an outfit out there, or recommend that they look into a local source because it's not cost effective. Everyone has ports, and ports only go so far, and they only stretch so far, and it only makes so much sense. So anyway, cargo worthy 20, cargo worthy 20, cargo worthy 20. This one's sold. Someone came by and already grabbed that. Getting delivered, I think, tomorrow. This is a 2-trip 40-foot high cube. So if you notice on these things, these are 8 foot 6 inches tall. That's our standard height. That's a standard height in a 20 or a 40. And this is a high cube over here. So this is 9.5 foot tall. So you'll see on the side, it'll usually indicate it. There's a sticker. 9.5 foot tall. So 40 footers, I rarely bring up a non-high cube. No one really wants a foot shorter, and they're typically pretty similar in pricing. I'm usually a couple $100 difference, so not really worth bringing up a standard height 40 footer. It usually makes more sense to grab a high cube, and they're usually about $200 difference, and no one really cares to pay $200 less to get that much less square footage. Here's 8 foot 6. That's your standard 20 foot. Any used 20 foot, you're going to find 8 foot 6. You're rarely going to find a high cube used because people have already grabbed those up and are not selling them. So if you want to get a 20 foot high cube, you'd have to buy a brand new one, a 1-tripper, or maybe you get lucky on a 2-trip and they'll cost significantly more money. Obviously less patina. You can see how nice this looks compared to these, you know, as far as the look. The burgundy ones hide a lot. Yellow ones, man, these things just show everything. Any patina, any rust, any bumps. These MSCs are probably the ugliest control. The Maersk, I think is the name of the company, is the worst. These are probably second as far as just the patina. Doesn't mean there's a bad container. They just show everything. This yellow color means shows anything. This container is almost the exact same bumps as this container, and that container looks a lot better at a naked eye view here than this one does, even though I think this is even an older container. So like I said, once you get into these wind and water tights, 2004, so that's 22 years old. What's this one? 2007, so this one is newer than that one by a couple years, couple birthdays. I had a customer the other day telling me, well, that's an old container. It can't be a 2-trip or can't be a 1-trip. The trip had 2006, so you know, they're all roughly in the similar area. So a 1-trip, for instance, sometimes I get 1-trips that are 6 years old. Doesn't mean that it's not a 1-trip. It means it came over one time from Europe or China or wherever, you know, Asia, and it's 1 trip just because it's been sitting in a port for 2 or 3 years. So for instance, this is considered a 2-trip, 2018. So it's already 8 years old as far as it goes. I just sold 2 1-trippers to a customer about 2 weeks ago, and they were also 2018, and they were 1-trips. They came over one time, they sat in port, and for whatever reason, it took forever to process those things in and out to where it gets to a wholesaler like me, or gets through the grind on some other big massive company. So the date code doesn't guarantee 1-trip, 2-trip, cargo worthy, wind and watertight. That's by condition. So once again, this is a cargo worthy, that's a cargo worthy, that's a cargo worthy. I would tell you between these 3, this is the nicest of the 3, believe it or not. That's the second nicest, and that's the third nicest between patina, wear and tear, bumps and bruises. You see like some of these bumps up here, got bumps down here, got bumps down here where it kind of bows out a little bit. You can hit those in with like a 10-pound sledgehammer if you want to. That's what they typically do at the ports to bring them back around if they want to. So you hit that with a sledgehammer twice and it brings it back in. Hit that once, brings it back in. So you can actually pretty these up a little bit as far as that goes. And like I said, you can paint them, but technically on condition, whoop, almost killed myself. That's the nicest of the bunch, second of the bunch, third of the bunch between the 20s. This 40-foot, like I said, wind and watertight, high cube, 2-tripper. You're always gonna have this patina on the walls right here, on the pillars. You even see those on 1-trips because the way the forklifts work, usually have a bump that goes right here. And then you have a cleat that goes on top of there, and it actually hooks and hits right against there and scrapes on that. So if this thing, they're calling it a 2-tripper, I'll bet you this went across the ocean 4 times. So it's not a real true 2-tripper, but that's just a condition they're calling it because that's the patina, that's the level, that's the qualification of it, that's the condition they're seeing. So did it go over the seas 2 times? Probably not, probably 4 to 5 in the 6-year span. But like I said, I've seen 1-trips that are 6 years old that have only come by 1, you even have documentation to prove that, and that's it. So this has a tiny bit of patina at the edge right there, has a patina where the forklift made contact on it, might have a bump or bruise, got a little bump right here, got a little bump back in here. But like I said, this is still a 2-trip. And by they mean a 2-trip, it's just one level below a 1-trip. They're not calling it a 1-trip. They're not trying to fool anyone, but they're letting you know that this is a very, very nice container in a used condition. Like I said, not a 1-trip, but usually these are about $1,500 cheaper than a 1-trip. So for instance, I'm going to try and build my tiny house, which won't be that tiny, I guess. This coming year, I'm going to be placing 3 of these containers on one of my bigger properties for my retirement home. Let's start a retirement home for where I want to retire and kind of relax a little bit. But my main house in the next couple of years I'll be relocating to, not too far from here. I'm wanting 1-trips because I get the deal on the containers I may as well. This 2-trip, even with a little rippling down here, I would take 3 of these instead of 3 1-trips all day long to save myself some money. I mean, it's just too good a condition to pass it up for a $1,500, $1,800 difference. That little ripple won't do nothing to me. Once I paint it, look great. And I'll show you the inside of this thing if I can get it open one-handed. They're intended to have 2 hands on these, obviously. There we go. So, I mean, the inside of this thing is ridiculous. So, it's super clean. The floor's got, you know, bumps and bruises that come in and out of it, but you can see even all the fasteners still have the adhesive on top of them to help extra seal them. They have a coating on the bottom of this that's wind and water or waterproof coating. They have marine grade 1 7/8" plywood. You got your metal panel back here and all the 40s. We're echoing. No patches, no metal patches, no floor patches. So this is a premium container. Like I said, this is a 2 trip. So usually about 1,500 bucks, maybe in 2 grand cheaper than a 1 trip. I would build with this all day long and be so satisfied. So a couple little bumps from the forklift driver, maybe came back from El Torito or something, had a couple of Mai Tais at lunch with his tacos and got a little bumpy. But like I said, nothing that would detour me from building off of this thing for like a lifetime long house. The house I'm building out of these things like that, like a little patina right there, I would literally bump that with a sledge, it'd be perfect. Not even worried about it. So this is considered a 2 trip. If you ever get a chance to jump on these like I did, if the ports have them, I grab them. I'll find the right customer for this. Someone will realize that, okay, I was looking at 1 trips and I'll see this thing in person and go, this will do all day long. I'm buying 3 or 4 of them. I can save 1,500 bucks a piece. That's a no-brainer. Save $6,000 on 4 containers. If you're building something big, that's where it's at. So anyhow, like I said, we got containers up here. Max Transport up in the Apache County, Arizona area. Give us a call, 928-243-3443. Don't be afraid to call people. Call me and go, I can't believe you answered. Well, why would I give my number if I wasn't going to answer? So if you call to harass me, I'll just harass you back. So no, we're friendly, man. Like I said, if you have any questions, a lot of people call me and they're not even ready to buy. They're not buying for a year from now. And I don't mind talking to them. If they want to just discuss some ideas, get some stuff out there in the ether, I'm okay with that. A lot of people have to visualize it. I'm the same kind of person. That's why I have a channel like this and multiple channels on YouTube where I talk about shit out in the open. I kind of throw it out in the universe and it comes back. So anyway, if you have questions about suggestions on what to put these on, what condition to buy for what you're trying to build, restrictions in your area, you need to look into your municipalities. I don't have any control over that. I can tell you Apache County is pretty lenient. So was Cochise for a while in Arizona, but it got a little bit more strict. Navajo is a little bit more strict, but I know Apache's we got some pretty good limitations, non-limitations on in non-restrictive areas up here. So if you want to look into that, I'd suggest you do that on your own. I don't have any official say on that. I can't tell you what kind of permits you need. Typically, a lot of people don't have any problems on rural property putting containers out there, but people do ask that question every now and then, and that's out of my control. So, but if you want to ask about a build, about a setup, about, like I said, what condition I recommend for what you're trying to do, price points you should be expecting to see, even not in my area. If you find a private party one and you want to get it towed up here, we also relocate them for people, so that might save you a little bit of money. Typically, when you find a deal, 400 miles away, sounds like a great deal. If you can't tow it up yourself, by the time you get a company to tow it up for you, the charge is going to be significantly higher than you probably expect it to go up a mountain range with, several thousand pounds. I would look into that pretty extensively, because you're probably better off to buy locally. You'll save a little bit more money from the local service that wants to work with you, rather than calling people like us and saying, well, can you transport this up here? I got a smoking deal, 1,000 miles away. I mean, no one wants to lose money, and gas is not cheap. Hauling these things up, these trucks aren't cheap. I got a few of those things, and that'll set you back a couple bucks. So anyway, like I said, if you have any questions, let us know. If you need a container, let us know. We have friends that operate throughout the whole entire state of Arizona. I do not. So if you have stuff that's way out of our range, I do mostly Arizona, and I do some in New Mexico, but I don't go to certain areas. I don't do a lot down south. So if you have questions or needs down there, I can hook you up with good people that you can trust, that aren't going to stake your money, that are good family outfits like what we do up here, that are honest and trustworthy and do the best they can to stick behind what they say. So anyway, guys, once again, 2-tripper. We got a couple more of those coming up. I'm trying to grab what I can while they're available. If I get 3 of them up here and no one grabs them, I'm putting them on my property and they're no longer for sale. So this might go quick. I'll grab those anytime I can, especially in Evergreen. God, it's just an amazingly beautiful container for a 2-tripper. Hard to find. Cargo worthy, already gone. These 2 cargo worthies just came up. They're ready to go. So I believe 1 is going this week. We might be down to 0 again. So this stuff goes as fast as you can get it up here. Anyway, give me a holler if you need anything, or if you have any questions, or if you need a container. 928-243-3443. Thanks, guys. Oh, and gals.